are you satisfied as a former premier and as a Canadian? And if not, what factors have contributed to the diminishing value of the Charter?
Now, there's built into that question, see, is the problem is not so much with the Charter as how it has been interpreted by the courts and the governments since. It got off to a rather rocky start right after it was negotiated, because within a couple of days, there were people around who were trying to undermine it to the point where they even erroneously tried to diminish the role that yours truly played and the Newfoundland delegation played in bringing the patriation agreement together. Was a proposal by the Newfoundland delegation, led by me, that actually broke the impasse on November 3rd, 4th, and 5th in Ottawa, from which came the patriation agreement at that last day on the 5th. And right from day one, there was a disagreement over that. And then the first decisions out of the courts based upon the Constitution Act 1982 were wrong right from the start and have been ever since, because the first decisions that were made by the court were ignoring the opening words of the Charter, whereas this country is founded on the principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law, at the end, colon, a punctuation mark, colon, which was deliberate on behalf of all the first ministers, which meant everything that comes after is based upon these two principles.
Right.
And right from day one, the courts ignored that. So the Charter and the patriation agreement got off to a bad start, especially the Charter part of it, because that the opening words are unique to the Charter. And but you did it. What happened, I think, and when you talk about the culture has changed and so on, unfortunately in Canada, unlike the United States, we very early on through our law schools and through teaching lawyers developed the theory of the living tree, which was a constitution changes according to the mores and values of the society as it grows. That's not how many people in the United States view it, nor is it how I view it. That's the key reason why the amending formula was so important. 1927 was the first time we tried to patriate the Constitution. And 10 times thereafter, from 1927 to 1981, the government of Canada tried to do it, and it always got stopped because of the amending formula. We couldn't bring the Constitution home if we didn't have a way to change it in Canada. And so that amending formula is very important. And so we did get an amending formula. That's why the thing was patriated. We got an amending formula. And it's through the amending formula that we should be looking for change, not through judges from the court interpreting what they see as the new values in a society. That's why the Constitution is so permanent and it's so difficult to change, because without it being permanent and difficult to change, you would have these varying things which we see now happening. And so a lot of our problem is with how leadership in the country took over the Charter and the whole thing and reinterpreted it to suit themselves. And that's what's really happened, because right from day one, the opening words of the Charter were ignored. This would never happen in the United States. This would never happen in the United States. And that's the difference between, and of course, it took us from 1867 to 1982 to get a Bill of Rights or a Charter of Rights. In the United States, it was 14 years after the country was formed, they had a Bill of Rights.